Welcome to Start Before You're Ready, the podcast that proves that you don't need to wait for the perfect moment to begin your journey towards better health and happiness. I'm your host, Kelly Young. Remember, the first step is often the hardest, but it's always worth taking. Hey guys, it's Kelly, and I am back with a very special episode of Start Before You're Ready. I have two guests today, and they come as a package, just like they did 20 years ago, maybe a little bit more. Today, I am introducing you to the dynamic duo, Pam and Lisa. They are legendary in the KBC community because they have been around for all of the things. We're going to try not to go too far down into KBC history and talk more about future and where they are right now. But before we do that, I want them to just introduce themselves and a little bit about how they got started. Okay, so maybe I should go back a little bit. So they are pre-KBC, meaning before I started my own business, which was originally called Kelly's Boot Camp, I taught at some of the local health clubs, and Olympus was the closest one to us. It's just a couple of miles from where we live. We all kind of live in the same neighborhood, and Olympus was one of the main clubs that I taught at. And Lisa gets credit for Pam. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but Lisa was working out there, going to the gym, not doing group fitness classes, but we ran into each other in the child care zone, and that's how we recruited her. So I'll let you go first, Lisa, because you were the first.
Yes, I came upon. I had just quit my full-time job, and I had two young sons, and I decided I was going to join a gym for the first time, and joined Olympus. Pam then joined Olympus, and then Kelly enticed us to try these group exercise classes, and we were scared to death. I was scared to death to try these classes.
What were you scared of?
I felt so gym illiterate. Like, I didn't know anything about the equipment. I didn't know how anything worked. I just didn't feel very comfortable, not very, with myself and what I could do. I'd never done anything like this before. Like, even just, doing step class, like trying to follow the directions and things like that. And I'd be, most of all, probably just scared to look like an idiot, scared. But I think even from the beginning, having Pam be my partner, going into that class together gave me some confidence. And then once getting in there, of course, having you as our instructor really immediately made me feel at ease that as long as I was trying and as long as I was doing something, that it was going to be worthwhile. And I think that has kind of kept me going, both Pam being my workout buddy and you, and then what you've built at KBC. I think over 20 years, I've grown, I've evolved, I've changed, but so did you, and so did what you built at KBC. And what you have built has allowed me to grow and change, and it's met my needs all during these 20 years.
I love that, Lisa. So Lisa come into the child care zone, and I was good at recruiting. It's funny, even though it wasn't my own business and I got paid the same amount if I had people in my class or not. When you're a group fitness instructor, you always want people in your class, especially if they look fun and you're like, obviously we had boys the same age at the time. So I'm sure I just looked at her and be like, you should totally be taking class. And you were like, no. And I think you said I said something to you that was like, you don't need to know what you're doing, right? Like, that's the whole name of this podcast. Start before you're ready. You don't need to know. Let me show you what to do. Come into my studio and I'll show you what to do. You don't need to know what to do before you start. You're not teaching the class, you're taking the class. You're learning.
Yes.
Right? That's important.
But the fact that you said that from the beginning in that, 5-minute invitation, that, verbal invitation that you gave me to the class, just you saying that gave me the confidence to try it.
Yeah. I think that's one. Let's make our first important takeaway from today's podcast, because I always want this podcast to benefit people in whatever way it can. But the power of an invitation. It's so powerful. And that could be to church. That could be to so many different things. It doesn't have to be a group fitness class, but if it comes, this is one of my things that I say in life. If it comes to your head, if you're like, hey, that person should come to my class, say it. Say it. I'd love to have you in my class. Just say it. Just say what you're thinking anyway. Because if I didn't, we wouldn't be here right now. And this has been an incredible journey with these two amazing superstars. And I can't wait to tell you more about their fitness journey. But for now, let's go ahead and Pam, let's have you introduce yourself.
All right. Well, I'm Pam Hausamann, and obviously I started because of Lisa's invitation. I think the important thing for me was having a buddy to be able to take that step. I really don't think I can explain how much Lisa and I stood at that window when we were contemplating taking class. And had she not been there with me, I probably wouldn't have done it. But my hesitation, I think, was I going to be able to do these exercises? I think that was like the fitness part of it. Would I be able to do that? And certainly, I mean, you were able to modify. We could modify. You worked with us, so we felt very welcome. And I think that's the reason why we came back the next week and kept coming back. But this has been, my journey with KBC has been life-changing for me because I'd played sports all my life, but I'd never really stuck with exercise after college. But not only, I get to go and work out because it makes me feel good, but I truly credit it with health, with changing the way health is for heart health because of, issues and bone density. I'm getting up there and bone density is great. So I credit all of that to KBC.
Yeah. That's really good, really good, Pam. I think that your health in these years is so important, and having that foundation of fitness, consistent fitness. And I want both of you to talk about that because that's one thing I will credit you. I mean, other than I can think of each of you having an injury that puts you off for a little bit. But other than that, you haven't stopped. You really haven't stopped.
And I think that's the thing. I've definitely had multiple injuries over the years, different things. But I think the way that you and the other trainers are, like, just being so helpful with modifying things, that I've always felt like I can still come to class and modify things to fit whatever's going on. So I don't feel like I have to totally take a break from it, and that, I can make it work and still try to do something. I think I mentioned to you, I always have that voice in my head when you always say, like, just keep moving, because whenever I would do these step classes, I'm so uncoordinated. I have a hard time, following everything.
I don't think of you at all like that, Lisa. That's actually weird that you said that. I've never, ever thought of you that way.
Oh my gosh.
Ever,
well, Pam is extremely coordinated. She is very coordinated. So being next to her, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I follow her half the time, But when I always remember you saying in different various step classes, like, you don't have to do what I'm doing. Just keep moving. I don't know whether you go to the left or the right. Just keep moving. And I feel like that's something that I keep in my head throughout all of these things, whether it's injuries or things like that, is like, just keep doing something. Just keep doing something. Don't quit altogether,
It's so true. Stay in the game. We haven't talked about that saying in a while, but it's really one of my favorite sayings. Keep yourself in the game. Keep yourself in the routine of doing something, because the minute you get out, it's so hard to get back in. And for some people, they never get back in, and it has a dramatic effect on them. How about you, Pam? What would you say has been your key to consistency?
Oh, the accountability.
Okay.
Definitely. I mean, consistency, knowing that I'm going to get a text at night, or I'm going to send a text out and say, like, hey, are we doing class tomorrow? That's been key. And, that accountability started a long time ago because we used to have to text you. I don't know if you remember that. We used to have to text you and tell you we weren't coming to class.
Some people still do.
Yeah.
Some people still do.
Well, just knowing that, if I'm hosting for Zoom, and, it's hard to cancel because I know Lisa's counting on me to have my garage ready. So just having the accountability has been key, and it's fun. I mean, it's work, but I mean, we have fun. We do have a lot of fun.
I love that.
Yes, we send each
Okay, we're
other
gonna have to explain.
text every single night. Like every night before class, we text each other to be like, okay, are we doing this? We're doing this. Let's do it.
But you guys
Yeah.
did that before. Okay, so let's talk about your history, because that's been going on for as long as I've known you. The two of you were always a package, or you would tell me what the other one was doing, or so the power of an account and you said this before we started recording, Lisa, that you really credit what you've been able to do with your fitness over the last 20 years to Pam. And I think Pam would say she credits to you.
Definitely.
But there's not a lot of people that are able to do this for 20 years, to be able to be workout buddies. I know your neighbors, they live right next door to each other, guys. I forgot to say that in the beginning. They live right next door to each other. So a little bit of history, just so everything that we say makes sense. I was a fitness instructor at several local gyms, and I had started my business, and I stayed at these gyms because I was only teaching 1 day a week, and I needed childcare, and so I continued to teach at these gyms. But when I was at Olympus was when I invited people to my Black Friday boot camp. And that's when I didn't have any plans of starting a business. I was perfectly content going into these gyms and, dropping my kids off in the kids zone and teaching my classes. It was working really well for me. I was not looking to start a business by any means. But I was looking to do a fundraiser for my father in honor of my dad. And that's when I invited some of my Olympus students, Pam and Lisa included, to Black Friday boot camp. And that's how KBC began, because once I did this outdoor class with people from all different walks of life, some of my neighbors, some of my family, some of my Olympus members, it was different. It just felt different. Like it was a different feeling. And I knew that that's what I wanted to do again. So when I started my Saturday boot camp, these two were first in line to join. And it worked out great because we all have athletic kids. And on Saturday mornings, we would never been able to go to the gym probably, but to get to the parking lot at 7 a.m. and be back in our cars at 8 or whatever it was possible. But while I was teaching a Saturday boot camp, we got word that our Olympus, that's where we all met, was closing down. It was shutting down in the middle of the night. I think it was a little crooked. Something was going on. Maybe someone didn't pay their bills or someone didn't do something. So everyone was like, Kelly, what are we going to do? We need more than just Saturday. And that's when I said, well, I'll just take every class that I do at Olympus and I'll make that part of my outdoor workout program. And that's exactly what we did. And they were a part of that. Back then, we did nights, but we also did some mornings too. We did early morning, 5:45. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And did you guys do mornings or nights?
We did both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. You were probably of the camp, like if there was a class you were going.
Yes, correct. Yeah. I think that's true. Because I think you typically had maybe one in the morning and another night, like another day, you might have it in the evening.
Yes.
So sometimes we'd have it in the morning.
I wasn't killing myself. I was maybe teaching 7 times a week. I wasn't teaching morning and night yet.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So we started working out outdoors together, and then we created a new community, different than the Olympus community. This was different. And tell us, you guys, I want you both to tell one of your favorite outdoor boot camp or back in the day memories.
Oh my gosh.
Oh boy, Lisa, I'll let you go first.
Oh, there's too many. Oh my gosh. One of my biggest, one of my memories, but also my nightmare memories was, remember those slash pipes that Rich hated? Remember those? Oh my gosh.
They were so heavy and hard to handle.
Yes.
I know.
Yes.
We had homemade slash pipes built by one of our members, and he dreamed it up in his garage. He told me about it. I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about, buddy. But he brought them out one at a time. They were so heavy, so hard to carry. And we'd walk across the parking lot with them over our head or on our shoulder. And the water would slosh back and forth.
I would be scared if I drove up and I saw those things sitting there. I was like, oh, today's going to be a doozy.
Yes, the slosh pipes were scary. I don't know how long they lasted, but they were definitely part of that's a good memory, Lise. How about you, Pam?
So probably two for me. One is probably having to push the truck. It was a truck that we would have to push. And you come home and you tell your family.
That was a contest event. That would have been off my radar for safety. I would not have allowed for that.
It was fun. I mean,
of course it was. And it was safe. Right. It was safe.
Yeah.
But
oh yeah. But the other one was, this is maybe not my best memory, is having to run the time mile.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
When I got there, just thinking, just don't leave. Like, just don't leave. You can do it. Lisa knows it goes back to my childhood. You put a stopwatch in front of me and things happen. So that's a whole other different.
I think you were 846, Pam. How does that sound?
Probably.
Sound about right?
Probably, yeah. Which was
scary.
Crazy.
Me and numbers is scary.
Yeah.
Oh, Pam is really big with numbers too.
Yeah, I am. It's a weird. But yeah, so that, I mean, just knowing that I would just stay for class, knowing that how much I didn't want to do the time mile. I don't forget that. That's ingrained.
The time mile, I had to trick you guys into the time.
Yes.
And you'd all talk about it. You text the night before. Do you think she's going to do the time mile tomorrow? Mm-hmm. I don't know why I made you guys do the time mile. I really don't. I mean,
it's mental torture, I guess.
Well, okay, I'm going to take that back. The reason why I made you do the time mile was so you could see yourself getting better. I think, I've mentioned this before, that when I first started, I almost felt like I had something to prove. Like, I knew my capabilities as a trainer, and I knew that I could really help people with their fitness and their stamina and their conditioning and their confidence and their belief in themselves and all the things that I valued so much. But I didn't know that the students were going to buy into it. So I felt like I needed to test you and show you, look, remember when you first started, you couldn't do a push-up, and now you can do 10. Or remember when you first started and your time mile was 13, 14? We had a lot of those, 13, 14. That's really more of a walk. And now you're 11 minutes or whatever it is. And it was never about who's the fastest, right? I mean, yeah, we know who the fastest was. Great, but it was always about who is improving, who is taking time off, because that's where showing up and consistency and those things would show up. And it would prove my point. It was proving my point, because it was like the people that showed up with consistency, the people that have been around for a while, they kept getting better. They kept getting better. So it was to prove it to you, and it was also to prove it. But the time mile definitely was a big part of our history, but I always like to remind people we don't do it anymore. I don't really do it anymore. There's some assessments out there, like the 4 corners, where you are running and doing a particular exercise and then running to the next corner, and you can see yourself getting better with that. Sometimes I even do like push-ups and sit-ups and that kind of thing. But sometimes, now that our population is a little bit older, I worry that with timed tests or, reps per minute tests, that people are going to get hurt. And that's just not worth it. Now it's like, keep them in the game. Keep them in the game. It doesn't matter. Just keep them in the game. So I love that. So you said you had 2. Okay, the time mile was one.
And the truck.
And the truck was the other. And the truck was a contest event. So part of the winter challenge was sometimes my students would take over the boot camp. And when I don't think of myself as a control freak, but the amount of anxiety I had when you guys were taking over boot camp tells me that I am maybe a little bit of a control freak. And it almost seemed like you'd purposely come up with like the riskiest, scariest exercises. And one of them was to push a truck, where the truck was in neutral and everyone was behind it pushing it. It's innocent. It was not dangerous, but it made me a little bit nervous. So those are awesome memories. What would you say in your boot camp time, Lisa, was the hardest thing that you had to deal with in the last 20 years that you've been a part of the community?
Oh gosh, let's see. I mean, I think I would say, I mean, for me, the hard times for me would be when I did have an injury. So I've struggled with my back. I've struggled with my calves at different times. And of course, it happens in a split second sometimes. And then all of a sudden, it's kind of a scary feeling when, your back goes out and you just start thinking, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to work out. I'm not going to be able to do what I want, all these things. But I think that over the years, I have found a way to kind of get back, like we were talking about, get back into the game with that. And then once that happens to you, sometimes it can be, you can have that in your head and be afraid. You're like afraid you're going to hurt yourself by doing something. So you can be a little cautious, sometimes. So I think just trying to move through that caution and still try to work hard without trying to, have an injury or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's really good. And I think that it's important to mention that because I'd say everybody's working through something. Everybody's got something, young or old. Everyone's got something that they're like, nah, I don't really want to do this because I'm afraid of that. And you know what we say? Great. Don't do that. Don't do that. I just had a woman today and she's got back issues. She was in my noon class and we were doing like a Russian twist. So we're sitting and we're rotating and she's like, this really hurts my back. I'm like, absolutely hurts your back. You're putting so much stress on your back and then you're rotating. This is a terrible, I kind of forgot about her back. And, we always tell our members that it's group training that, we try to remember everything, but you have to be the boss of your body. You right away will know when you do something. And I don't know if either of you are going to get this right. So I'll just say, but
no faith.
But I always say, if it's a question mark, it's a no. If you're like, should I do this? Or, this ladder I feel a little off doing this ladder right now. That's a no. That's a no. If it's a question mark, it's a no. And it's not, that's not to give you like an out. And it's not like saying you're weak. It's not saying, but once you start to question something, you can't do it in that moment because you've got to get your head around it mentally and believe that it's the right thing for you. So we talk about it or whatever, and we figure out, okay, we'll just do it this way, then that's fine. But otherwise, if you're doubting it, if you go into an exercise with a question mark, the chances of you're going to get hurt are very high. Right. So a lot of it is just your confidence going into it. So if at the moment it's a question mark, it's a no.
The instructors are always so good. Like now, especially, they're always like, and if you don't want the impact, try this. And so they give good alternatives, offer them up very easily. So that also makes me feel more comfortable.
Yeah. And it goes both ways with our students. And I see this and also, people will add stuff. Sometimes they're adding like a jump. Like, okay, go ahead. I'm not jumping. But it's great. It's great. That's exactly. And people will argue like, oh, how can it be a group class for all levels? Well, if people are smart and they listen to their body, it can absolutely be a group class for all levels. It's not hard, right? Because we're all there together, pushing each other, whatever exercise we're doing, but it doesn't have to all look the same. And I love that. And I love that you guys, that you pointed that out because I really think that's important. And I think that speaks to your career, your fitness career, ladies. You have both had outstanding careers in your fitness journey. And I've seen you get better with not just the time mile, but I've seen you get better with some of your thinking around fitness, your confidence, things that are even more important than sets and reps. And I really believe that it is so much has to do with that. So what would you say, Pam, was your biggest struggle?
I think probably for like the last maybe 10 years, the biggest struggle for me is trying to maintain like the work balance, like fitting in working out with work and kids' schedules. I mean, I've had 2 kids in college playing sports. Trying to make it all happen has been the biggest struggle probably for me. And I have to say, Zoom has been a life changer for me with work. I used to love coming in person, but I mean, Zoom has been a life changer for me, Yeah.
It does. It saves that little bit of time. So Lisa and Pam, we'll get to this now. Lisa and Pam work out together in the garage. It's your garage, right, Pam?
We
No.
alternate.
They both look the
Yeah.
same.
Well, our houses are similar, same builder, but one day she does it, then the next day I host it, and then she hosts.
Okay. And you have all the equipment in both places, or you bring the equipment when you
Like I bring my Liebert bar to her house. She brings, but I have like a bunch of weights, so like we have some things that we can share in each house. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe somebody's listening to this that doesn't know that we are virtual as well. And during the pandemic, we added the virtual option to a good portion of our classes. And certain people do both. Some people come in person sometimes. Some people have moved away and they're always virtual. Some people have joined us from friends or family from places like New York and Colorado. but Lisa and Pam live close, but they Zoom because it works well for them. And that's perfect. Right, guys? It's one of the reasons why I wanted to have them on today, because I wanted to explain how it's so important to do what works for you, right? I mean, and the fact that I think I wouldn't love it as much if they were on their own and like down the street. I'd be like, find your way in here. But they're together and we have a big, it makes it fun. It makes it fun. And our virtual training, as they will attest to, is very good. I mean, yes, there's glitches because it's technology and there's always glitches, but we have found a way to really feel connected to our members. So they have the camera on both of them. I can see them both. There's two garage bays. They started as outdoor boot campers, and I think they still like that outdoor feel. So they usually have the garage doors open, which is wonderful to start. You start more days outside than I do now. And I have a very, very strong feeling about being outside and combining. So they're being together, their social time, they get to meet with their neighbor. They get their workouts in, they get a little bit of outside time. There's no commute. So if the workout starts at 5:45, they're there at 5:47.
Right? 5:47.
You know us too well, Kelly. Oh my gosh.
But it's perfect. It's perfect. They don't miss a beat. So let's talk.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference because, for both Pam and I both work out away from the home. We're not I go into the office every day. And so, minutes in the morning makes a big difference, and also for us, I think we're the place where we're at now. Like if we can get our workout in first thing in the morning, we know that we've got it done and we can do other things the rest of the day. So for us, we don't have to drive to where the class is, get there a little bit ahead, then drive back. It's just extra time that we can save ourselves that allows us to take the classes that then allows us to get ready, get to work, and be successful with our jobs and our families and all of that. It's definitely been a huge factor in keeping us consistent, having that option and still feeling connected because, I definitely have that connection and that community with Pam because we're together every day, but we do still feel connected with you or whoever the instructor is. And, we see our friends up there that are doing it in studio. So I think that, KBC is definitely all about community and about connection. And even though the way that we're using KBC is different now than when we first started, I think we're still getting our fill of connection and community with Zoom.
I love that. That's so good, Lisa. And truth be told, we're getting older and a lot of our friends are going to move. They're looking at their next home and they've said, well, thank goodness there's Zoom because I'll still be able to, maybe they'll do something else too, but they'll still be able to stay connected. So we still have it. So, I still want people to do it. We've kept it. We've committed to keeping it as part of our schedule. And I think we've also really figured out how to do it best. There's some classes that we don't Zoom because it doesn't work well and it works out great. And the people that Zoom are very, they figure out that they figure out how to make the classes that we offer work for them, and getting the equipment. Like you guys, I think what you have, your setup, I'd love, maybe Pam, you talk a little bit about that, because I do think that is a huge, like when someone wants to start from home, that's the first thing I say is like, you've got to get an ideal setup, not an okay setup. You need an ideal setup. Talk about that a little bit.
Sure, it's definitely evolved. I feel like, we started probably when COVID hit with a laptop, but our husbands have bought into this. We sort of have to give our husbands some credit because they've mounted TVs for us. They've set up, the system. But we've got like a variety of weights. We have the green ball. We have the bands. We have fans. Fans are important, especially now. In the garage, I'm trying to think. We have, our mats or lever bars. Yeah, steps, very important. Lisa has two. So we have a setup there. I mean, everything, I feel like everything except for maybe like obviously the rowers, the big equipment that you have in energy, we don't have, but I mean, we can make every workout work.
Yeah, you do beautifully. You absolutely do. That's great. And everything's right there, right? Like, so it's kind of like just, your garage is very neat. It looks, both of your garages are like very neat. It doesn't have to be, but
it is.
But you
it is
like
right there.
It's almost set up for.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah. All of our weights are pretty much laid out in the front of our garage where the TV is. And yeah, it's just it's accessible. The only difficult thing probably for us is the garage floor. But that's a small, that's nothing. Mm-hmm.
And then basically like we use like for me, like I just mirror my phone to my TV. So
right.
That it's pretty easy. Like I just pull it up on my phone and it mirrors on my big TV.
Yeah. So that's the beautiful thing. We do make it really easy. You get the link, you press start, and you're in the room. And why don't you talk a little bit about your kids? Because both of you have children that are definitely athletic and have had fitness as part of their life. And I'm curious if you feel like your journey has anything to do with their journey, or how they've kind of overlapped.
Yes. Yes. Let's see. I mean, I think, for like my boys were so young when we started doing boot camp, but it was like they always knew, like Saturday mornings, we always were out doing boot camp. So, and then they've seen me over the years, always, during COVID when we were doing it, Zooming and all that, they've always seen that I have made time for that in my life. And I think, whether they realize it or not, they're recognizing that being active and being strong is really important and that you have to make that time for yourself. So I think that's, and I think, one of the things I thought about is that, like for me, my boys, they're like college aged, and we went on vacation. We went to Utah. We went to these national parks, and, I planned this whole trip and, different hikes and stuff. And I would offer these hikes. And of course, when I would tell them about the hikes, they always wanted to do the most challenging hike that there was. And, I kind of took it for granted that, whatever one they said, I was like, okay. And, Kevin and I were maybe, a little bit further back, they made it look easy. But, at the end of that trip, I was like, you know what? I took for granted that I could keep up with them and that I could do these really like strenuous, difficult hikes. Like, we were in Zion, and which is like a really it has these really like tight, switchbacks, like very high elevation. And I mean, when I looked back down to see what I had just done, I was like, I can't believe I did that. And I mean, I feel like the KVC kind of gave me that, I feel like I was in shape for it because, I'm always working towards that. And so just being able to keep up with my boys and being able to keep up with them, and they're very, fit, that made me feel good.
Very fit, athletic young men. I love that. That's a really good example. Should we tell the Kevin story, Lisa? Or
I didn't know if you want to go there or not.
No, I didn't know. This is actually good. You tell it.
Well, I always say Kevin's the reason why Kelly gets people to sign waivers now, right? Like, so that very first Black Friday workout, I of course was like, Kev, come with me, come to this workout. And we are out on the tennis courts over in Ridings at Blue Springs, and We were in, minute like 57 of a 60-minute workout, and Kevin was backpedaling, and he's like, somebody just like threw like some piece of equipment just hit the back of my leg. And what it was his Achilles total rupture had snapped. So that was a little scary. So we had to, take him, get ice and take him all that. And of course, it, required surgery, and it was his driving foot. So he couldn't drive for 6 months.
Till Easter.
Yes.
Till Easter. I remember you texted me and said, okay, I'm gonna interject here. First of all, Kevin played football in college.
Yes.
What position?
He was a defensive back.
Okay, so he's a pretty big dude.
He's not like fast with bad hands. That's what he would say.
Well, yeah, athletic. Those are your worst students, by the way. Your absolute worst person is somebody that has a strong athletic history but hasn't been working out in a while, because they are so capable and they want to like
push
train
themselves
like they did in college. And he wasn't doing it. Was not his fault. It was an injury waiting to happen. I have like sought my own mental, like this was very, very hard for me. I'd never had a person get hurt in my class before. And here she is, my dear friend, and she's got these 2 little baby boys, and she's got a husband that can't drive for 6 months because of a stupid drill I did in a tennis court. So it's not, I mean, I felt so guilty about it, but I'm okay now.
We laugh about it now.
He'd give me a big hug if I saw him right now. He's no, but it's part of the territory. And that moment, I was like, it's actually, Lisa, I mean, I hate that happened to Kevin for sure, but I think that's why I'm like a safety, like every single thing I do, like if there's any weights around on the floor or anything, I'm crazy.
Yes.
I'm like, oh no, that's safe. Like I really like fear. I mean, and injuries are inevitable. For the number of workouts that we have done, I think that we are doing the absolute best job we can to keep people safe. But I will say this, my 2 biggest injuries have come from backpedaling. I think I told you I had at Camp U. We were at Camp U. We were just slow and low. I always say slow and low, slow and low. And we were backpedaling across the studio, and she fell and she broke her wrist. Her wrist was like bent to the other side.
Oh, no.
So
I think we should take backpedaling with maybe not.
Yeah. Right.
I know, no more backpedaling. No more. But yeah, we do. I still backpedal. I'm not going to say I don't backpedal. So the fact that Lisa's still with me after 20 years and she didn't get mad at me back then is pretty amazing. And she kept coming to boot camp.
Yes, I did.
Bye, Cap. I'm going to boot camp.
Yep.
So yeah, I love that. Okay, Lisa, or Pam. I'm sorry, Pam.
Oh gosh. So I have 2 girls, and both started in Erica. I think Erica used to work too at the little kids camp, right? But yeah, I've done classes with Ellie. Ellie's done boot camp with me. She's now 26 and she's a teacher.
She did it when she was in high school, or maybe even before.
She did.
Yeah.
And even after she got done with college. Yeah,
like
she
was
did.
probably my most consistent high schooler at the time. Maybe she was even younger, but I felt like she used to come a lot for a period of time.
And she loved it. I mean, she did some of the classes with us through Zoom too. I mean, she really loved it. I think she loved seeing me work out. I mean, I think that was important for her to see, and for Grace too. I mean, Grace is in college. She's 21. She's in college. She plays softball. So they've both been very active, but I think it was really important for them to see their mom put health and fitness as a priority. I think that was really important for them to see that. Yep. That I made time for me, that my time I felt was like important.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's so true, Pam. I really do. And I think that that's some of the best advice we can give people, as far as maybe people with younger kids. And like, if you don't want your kid sitting on their phone or eating crap or, wasting their day, you show them what it looks like to be productive. Show them what it looks like to get up early. Show them what it looks like to show up even when you don't want to. I think that is really, really important. So thank you for saying that. Okay, ladies, we're just almost done. It makes me sad because this is such a treat to get to talk to both of you. I feel like we need to do this more.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
It really is. It's bringing back a lot of memories for me. But I want you to go back 20 years, and I want you to go back and think about how you felt before you started. And, you shared a little bit about the not feeling like you're ready or not feeling like you knew what to do. But if you knew someone that was a Lisa or Pam 20 years ago and was a busy mom, was a working busy mom, didn't really have time for exercise, very easily could have put themselves on the back burner, what would you say to them, Lisa?
I think just like you said, making the time for yourself and realizing that you are important, just as important as everything with your children and your spouse. And I think that just sticking with it, like even when, sometimes it's more of a struggle to build it in, but really try to stick with it. And if you can just get yourself there, like that hour, you're going to feel so good afterwards. Like, I think that's the biggest thing for me is how I feel after I do a class, how I feel like all the time. Like I feel that I have like such good energy. And that is like priceless to feel like you have, like, I don't feel like I walk around like, oh, I'm so tired all the time. And like, I think that's like a gift. If somebody can find something that gives them energy, like the way that I have found from taking these classes, I think that's really important.
Yeah. I love what you said too, before we started talking about your neighbors noticing just recently, you're always out walking and.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Just like 3 different people in the last 2 days have literally like stopped me and they're like, oh my gosh, you are always out here. You are so inspiring to me. And I was like, it was just like a random person in my neighborhood. And then the other guy was like, oh my gosh. He's like, man, you have such good energy. I see you walk by here every day. You have such good energy. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. And then, another person said something similar too. And I was like, I mean, that means a lot to me because like, that's, feeling that way is like, you can't put a price on feeling like that. If you do feel like you have, energy to do the things you want to do and ability to get out and to do that. So that to me is priceless.
It is priceless. And I love that you shared that. And I find it funny that came in threes. I'm going to give a quick aside before I let Pam go. But that's how energy opened, I saw 3 different people within a short span of time. And they said, Kelly, we love your workouts. We miss your workouts, but I have fibromyalgia and I just can't do the cold. And then the next person was about the pavement. The pavement's too much. It's just too much impact for me, my knees. And it was like, literally, it was the same exact thing, Pam. I'm kind of like, it was within a very short period of time. Like one was at the grocery store and one was at the kids' school and it was all different places. And then the third one hit and I was like, I got to find something. Like, I was like, I got to find something. That's when I just became like, I'd always had it in the back of my head, but then I became like relentless. I took that as a sign that like, okay, 3,
yes.
There's 3. Once I have 3 times, then I'm taking action.
Absolutely.
So I love that. So take that, Lisa, take that as your sign, guys, because I know when I asked you guys to do this podcast, you're like, why? What do we do? And I say, you guys are role models. You are so consistent. You've gone through so many chapters. You've never stopped. You've cheered for everybody. I'll never forget. I was going to read it, but it doesn't really make sense outside of us. But so Pam and Lisa, I had a 10-year celebration for KBC. And I think we had a party and they couldn't come, but they sent a bottle of Dom Perignon champagne and the sweetest poem. It was like all of our memories and it was rhyming. And they said, I thought that they were slackers, which I never thought that they were slackers, but they thought I did because they were social and they like to, be together. And I never thought anyone that shows up for 20 years in the wind, rain, snow, garage, never going to call you a slacker. But yeah, that's why, guys, it doesn't take like some huge athletic feat or some a huge overcoming or transformation, or it doesn't take anything like that. You guys have maintained your health and your fitness and feel more confident and energetic now than you did 20 years ago. That's a story. That's what people need to hear. That's exactly the kind of thing that people need to hear. Okay, so now we totally diverted from the question, Pam, but not really, because we're going back 20 years and telling our people. So we really have it. Let's hear what you have to say.
I was going to say the exact same thing as Lisa. I mean, just the amount of energy working out gives you. I mean, maybe not. I mean, I know it's hard at first because you're tired, you're sore, but gosh, what I can accomplish in a day, and it's amazing. The other thing for me is I used to be sick. I felt I would have a cold all the time. I never get colds.
Wow.
Never.
Wow.
Since I started working out consistently,
huge.
I never get a cold. I mean, yeah, I really don't. Never get sick. Yeah. So I credit that. It was almost immediate.
It's your armor.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. Mm-hmm.
So good. That's so good. All right, you guys, you're the best. I love you both so much. I'm so grateful that you were. I seriously, I was telling my noon class today about you guys coming on, and I was like, I'm so excited. I didn't know how the conversation would go, but I wasn't worried because I just knew that the two of you together alone is special, and I just knew it was going to be great. And I want to just say thank you to both of you for being part of my journey. I like to remind myself all the time, none of this is possible if people aren't showing up for these workouts and giving me a purpose. And one of the things that both of you have done really beautifully over the years is it's just shown gratitude for the community, for the workouts, for whatever it is. You've just always been really appreciative. And I noticed that as a common denominator among some of our most successful people. And I think that's in life in general. People that appreciate things as they are or appreciate what they have tend to be more successful or tend to bring more good into their life. But you have always been my biggest cheerleaders from day one. The KBC community was built from people like you that believed in the mission. You shared it with other people. You brought your kids. I still save the mile times. I'm like, these boys are going to be famous. I need to save these sheets. And you let me hurt your husband. You did, no, really, you did all the things, guys. So I'm very, very grateful. And I think that that's what community is like doing for each other and just providing that unconditional support. And I love that you work out in your garage. It makes us all happy. The instructors love that we get some Pam and Lisa time together, and you do it so.
They're like them again, showing up on the.
No, you do it so well. I think it's an inspiration. Find a Pam. That's what Lisa said. And Pam say, find a Lisa. Find a Pam. Definitely. You want to be successful? Find a Pam. It's so, the buddy is so important if it's the right buddy. Don't find a slacker, Pam. Don't find a lazy Lisa. Find someone that's going to motivate you and get you to do the things that you're going to want to do. And if it's someone that's already doing the things that you want to do, great. Attach yourself to them.
We always say, we call perfect Pam because she does everything perfect. So she's perfect for me because I try to follow her and keep up with her.
Perfect Pam. I totally forgot about that. Yes. We did used to call you Perfect Pam. Yes, we did. Because you were the rule follower, the listener, perfect form. Yeah.
Hall monitor.
Well, hall monitor. I was going to say, Lisa calls me the hall monitor. Yeah, the rule follower.
Lisa needs a hall monitor. You guys are perfect for each other.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But Kelly, we thank you. Yeah, thank you we owe you and your team for being fabulous leaders and inspiring us to get up every day and work out. Truly, everybody that works at KBC has been wonderful. And I know that starts with you. So thank you.
I was going to say, when I think about, years 30 through 50 for me, having you in my life for these last 20 years, Kelly, you have been one of the most influential people on my life because of what exercise has been a part of my life. And I just don't think my trajectory would have been that way if I hadn't have met you and you hadn't shared KBC with us. And having Pam to go through this with too has been huge for me. So I'm very, very thankful and grateful for both of you.
Well, that is huge. And that's inspiring. That's inspiring. That makes me want to find more Pam and Lisas and help them when they're on their journey. Because that's exactly what I set out to do. So it's nice to hear that. I really appreciate you both saying that. And lots more great workouts to come, ladies. We're not done yet.
We're not 20 more years.
That's right. That's absolutely right. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Start Before You're Ready. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend who might need a little motivation. Ready to start your own journey? Check out our workouts and nutrition coaching programs at kellysbootcamp.net. You can choose from in-person sessions or virtual programs. Set up a complimentary coaching session to get started. Follow along with me and the show on social media at Kellys_bootcamp. Until next time, this is Kelly Young reminding you that the best time to start is always now.